Hey, what's going on? Keith, June here, Two Guys How To. Smiling because we got another thing to fix and we're tired of fixing stuff, but that is what we do. So today it's a generator. Big Kevin brought a couple by and we're going to get them running for him. This one's Dayton. It's a professional duty generator, 4,000 watt, but the good thing is it's got the Honda motor and we know it pulls over. He got it from a hauling job free inside the old guy's shed, and the family didn't want it anymore, so we're going to show you basically how to get these things running. First of all, we smelled the gas and it smells totally old, almost turned into varnish, and it could be before they started putting the ethanol in the gas, so I'm sure it's still flammable, but we're going to suck it out. And you can see June's got this pump. You basically pump it up and it, instead of blowing air, it sucks the air out, or sucks the fluid out, and we use that for everything. So we're going to pump the gas out and fill it up with new, check the fuel filter, and we'll get down into this carburetor. It's probably a 10mm bolt. You can see it on this float bowl here. This will drain the gas out, and this bolt here will physically take this bowl down, and there's a gasket there and some needle jets and things of that sort that we can clean out with some of that CRC non-chlorinated, or any carburetor that's non-chlorinated, and we'll get to that in a second. If we have to, we can prop it up on its side. We'll check the oil, or we'll just go ahead and take these two 10mm bolts off here, take this housing off, and physically pull the whole carburetor off of there and take it in on the workbench. So we're going to show you how to get this thing running. If yours has been sitting around, or you require one like Big Kevin did.
I've got 47 hours.
Yeah, and this thing's got an hour meter on it. It's only got 47 hours, so it's a brand new unit. It's pretty much. It's just got dust. Yeah, it's barely been used. So if you acquire one the way Big Kevin did, or you buy one, or you want to go and look at one to buy and you're not quite sure, we're going to show you what to look for. Check the oil, smell the gas, talk them down a little bit in price, and then take it home and get it running and save yourself a bunch of money. All the gas is sucked out, and you can see down in there, you know, we didn't get it 100%, but we got it probably about 99%. And we disposed of it in these old empty containers there where we can take and recycle. We're going to get busy now, and actually we're going to tip this thing up on its side to show you how to drop the bowl on it and clean it. So we're going to suck the oil out. That way we know the oil's fresh anyway when we give it back to Kevin. So we're going to use the same apparatus you can see right there, and it's great for lawn mowers. It'll go down in the dipsticks of the lawn mowers or your boat and suck the oil out. So we're going to suck that out. That way we can physically pick this thing up, not put gas in it yet, and then it'll expose the bottom part of this carb towards the camera. We can show you how to take the float bowl off, clean it lightly with some wire up in that little jetting orifices in there, and we'll go ahead and we can add the gas. We add the gas now. The fuel line's so old, there's no shut off to it. And if we tried to pinch it back here with some needle nose, it'd probably crack the hose. So it's going to need a new hose. You can see it's already loose, how it shrinks over time. But we're not going to mess with that. We're going to get it started first, and then we can go back and always change this hose out that goes right over down to the carb. And you can see a good view of the carb here. Here's the float bowl. We're going to try not to dismantle it off the motor itself, because most likely the gasket could be good back there. We try to reuse them, but sometimes they'll break and we don't have another gasket. So we're going to tip this thing up, and it'll expose this bowl. We'll show you guys how to clean it, put that back together, and we'll add some fresh gas, clean the spark plug, put a little bit of gas down where the spark plug goes into that cylinder, and it should fire up. And another good reason why June's sucking that oil out is because sometimes this float bowl, the float inside the bowl will stick and allow the gas to run down into the cylinder, contaminating the oil. This one, I checked it, the oil was full, it wasn't over full. If it was over full and smelled like gas, that's a true sign that the gas is contaminated with the float sticking and allowing all the gas from the gas tank just to run down into that cylinder. So we're going to suck this out, tip it up on its side, and show you how to clean it. Add some fresh oil to it, some fresh gas, and it should fire right up. All right, so there it is. We tipped it up. We got it on this block. That way none of the switches or fuses are hitting the ground. And you can see it looks like the old man that had it put a tourniquet around this line. You can see where the clamp on this fuel line. So what we're gonna do, if we can, gently take this off. June's just gonna cut a 1/2 inch off, put the line back on. We already know it's gonna leak later. And there's the old crappy gas, and you can just see how hard it is. Sometimes you gotta score that with a little cut blade, and then to get the remnants off, and then we'll go ahead and push it back on there. It's spinning now. And you can see the carburetor's up at the top there. Spark plugs here, everything's accessible to where we don't have to remove it. And while he messes with that, we're gonna get ready to remove the float bowl. This is the bowl that we're talking about. This is where you drain the gas for the winter. This is how you actually remove the float bowl off of here. And it also has another fuel filter up in here, which is a 10 mil. As well as if you follow this fuel line back, you'll see that little orange piece right down in there. That's another fuel filter. So we're not gonna mess with that. Most likely it's clean. If you have to, we're gonna take this all off and replace the fuel line. It looks like it goes small to bigger. So it could be a specific filter that Honda has on there that we don't have in the shop. So if so, we'd have to take that apart and clean it with you know, some of that CRC and reuse it. So let's just go ahead before we crack this open. Let's put a little WD-40 around the seal and on these two seals here, as well as the one on this fuel filter. This one unscrews out, but there is an O-ring up in there. So you want to make sure you don't damage anything, otherwise you're gonna have to go to the store and try to track down parts today. So let's get a couple 10mm wrenches and let June fix that fuel line there, and we'll go ahead and get started on this. All right, so we got some of this Valvoline non-chlorinated parts clean. Whatever we get whatever non-chlorinated. That way it doesn't eat the rubber up. We've got our little carburetor cleaning tools you can get on eBay, Amazon, wherever. They come free with some kind of carburetors. And on this particular set, I used an old piece of guitar string from one of my guitars and wrapped it around there, and June said this one's almost the best. It's almost hair thin. Or we've got, this came on some celery or something, and it's just a tie wire, and I stripped the end. You can see where I just pulled the end right off, and it's good too to clean out those little orifices. So let's go ahead and crack this open.
We've used stranded copper wire.
Yeah, whatever you can use, whatever wire you have that'll go in there. We've been using the tie wires off of bread loaves of bread for years. So a little bit of gas is going to come out of there. I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. There is a little gasket on that bolt. Make sure you don't mess with it too much. You see the little red gasket there. It's intact. We're good to go. And sometimes that will just pull off. If not, you can just tap on it lightly. And you can just smell the old gas in there. And you can just see it's just all gummed up. There's no way this thing would have ran anyway. So we're going to use a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, to really clean that out, or soak that overnight in some cleaner. And as well as on this, and you can almost see, it looks like the metal's starting to eat up, but it's not. It's just so much tartary gook. And there's your float that we keep talking about, the float bowl. And basically, there's a needle valve up in there that goes and it shuts off the flow to the gas. And June's going to take that float pin out. You can see it was right in there. There's a little axle in there he pulled out. And then he'll just slide that out. And be careful, you'll see that needle valve right there, that seat. It goes up inside the seat, up inside there, and shuts the gas off. The gas comes out of this little hole here. And as the gas fills up, it's floating and pushing against that and sealing it off. And there is probably a gasket. There is you can see that little rubber O-ring. You don't want to really spray that a lot. If you swell that out, it'll harm the gasket. And when you go to tighten it up, it's just going to break and swell. So it's actually not that bad up there. It's just mainly bad where the gas sat. So we're going to take a little bit of cleaner. We'll spray it up in that line.
This is old
into
gas. This is the
seat.
way gas used to look.
Yeah, this is probably old ethanol-free gas.
Yeah.
And we'll spray up into here. That goes down through your gas where that pink filter was that I showed you. And we'll wire brush this lightly and this lightly. And we'll go ahead and let's crack into this fuel filter. Let's see. On the stock, most of the Honda carbs or the knocked off ones always have these, and you just loosen it up and it unscrews out. And let's see, and you can see right there, there's another O-ring that it's intact, but there's more of that tartar up in there. Not much though. Yeah, it's pretty clean up in there. So yeah, we're gonna lightly brush this. We'll poke around, and up inside this part here is a jet. And usually it's just a flathead screwdriver. So we can go ahead and take that out, physically clean it, put it back, spray up in here, spray up into the seat gently, clean this with our toothbrush, and this thing should run. It should definitely run. And be careful of this gasket too. Don't spray it with that spray. If you can, take it off or just leave it on and just lightly clean it. Otherwise, if this swells out, you're not going to be able to, you're going to end up having a leak. So yeah, it's just coming right off. Just make sure if you take it off, you set it exactly the way that it came off. So if I take this off like this, I'm going to set it on this old Buick hubcap or Plymouth hubcap. This Cadillac hubcap's just like that. That way I know it goes on top of that bowl like that. And we'll clean it off. We'll check it for defects or dry rot. And then we'll clean this out with that toothbrush and we'll be ready to go again. All right, so June's in there and he's cleaning up that bowl. And I was saying we've got the needle float valve goes up in that seat there. And there's a jet up in there, you just can't see it. And it's hard for me to get the camera because of the heavy duty, the structure of this. So what I did is I went ahead and sprayed a little bit of WD-40 up in there. And you can see it, it's just nasty dripping out. And I've got a rag down there. And like I said, you could take these two bolts off here and take the whole carburetor in. You just got to worry about that gasket back there, that green one. Yours might be black or blue or red. Sometimes if they don't seal up right, you're going to have a problem with the air to gas ratio. So we're going to leave it in. And I went ahead and I took a screwdriver and I grinded down the sides of the screwdriver head. Just the sides. So it fits up inside here without scraping into those threads of that 10mm nut we took off that held this float bowl on. And I got that WD-40 up in there and it should fit into that groove perfect. And I'm going to break it free. If yours doesn't come easily, don't use an undersized screwdriver or an oversized one to strip those threads in there. Just leave it alone and you can poke that piece of wire that I showed you earlier up inside there and physically clean it out. So let me see if I can get this out one-handed for you guys, and we'll give it to June to clean up. And just keep backing this out. It's pretty sticky up in there from that old gas. I think this is an ethanol-free gas. So let's see if we can get this thing out one-handed. And show you what it looks like. Kind of sprayed some carb clean up in there and put a piece of that dang wire in there. See if we can grab it like that. It's pretty dinky. Oh shoot! All right, and there it is. There's your jet. And you can see it's got a hole through it. And most likely, if you hold it up to the sun, nothing. Can't even see through it. So this unit's not gonna run right. And you can see the hole there on the back side if I hold it in the sunlight. And we're going to run a little wire from either guitar string or some kind of stranded wire or whatever you've got, a twist tie. Clean that out and spray it, and you should be able to see light through that hole. And you can see the little slot in the top there, and that's where that screwdriver went. So you want to be careful. It's brass and it strips out incredibly easily. You want to use the right size screwdriver. And what I did, so you don't strip the threads on the inside of here with that 10mm float bowl. Bolt goes up in there. I went ahead and I grinded down that screwdriver on both sides with the grinder and made it pretty much as slender as I could so it fits right up inside there and has room when I move it back and forth so it doesn't hurt those threads. but at the same time goes right down into this jet here. You can see it's a perfect fit. So we're good. I'm gonna give this to June, let him clean it out, and he can run these wires up through it and clean it and spray it, and we'll be ready to clean the rest of this up with a toothbrush real lightly and put everything back together. And you can see June just got a little Tupperware container. There's a little work area here that I've clogged up with a bunch of crap this morning. And he's just going through and cleaning everything out. See how clean he got the bowl, just using a little bit of that carb clean and toothbrush and a little screwdriver. He was just kind of picking it clean.
They use a screwdriver in the tight little spots where the brush won't get.
And then he'll show you how to clean this little jet out and just do the same in the carburetor gently. And he toothbrushed this little float here. And you can see that the needle valve right there. It's very, very simplistic. It's on a spring and it hangs right in that float bowl. It just goes in there. Let's see if I can get it right, and just kind of hangs on that little tab in there. And you want to make sure you don't spray this tip. This tip is rubber. Sometimes they're solid metal, but this rubber tip will swell up from that carb clean, and especially the cheap carb clean will swell that up. It'll never seat right. So gently, if anything at all, I would use just soap and water on that real lightly, not to disturb it too much. June cleaned this. Let's go ahead and just show him cleaning this jet real quick, and then we'll be ready to put this back together. And you can see, you can't even see through that. So let's give him these brushes, whatever he needs to use here. The twist tie, the guitar string, or whatever fits, that's what you want to poke up through there. And sometimes, you know, just don't force something, because that'll change the jetting size. Just go ahead and poke something that's going to go through it. Start off small, work your way up, and you can see how he punctured through it. Let me show him that real good there, June. You can see how he's just got that wire all the way through it, and you can see light through it now. Sweet. So he's just going to keep going up in sizes until it won't go anymore with the different wires that we have. We can spray a little bit more of this while he's doing that. And you can see it squirting out the back, so we're pretty good. We can run a couple more through it, as well as one of even those little wire brushes. Sometimes the brushes do fit. So he's going to go up in size, and you can see how some of them just don't fit, and he's not going to force them in there. So if it doesn't fit, don't force it. Just spray some more spray. Just keep going up size. Sometimes you got to kind of spin that little pellet, the pellet jet, and it'll go up through there. So I mean, just, you know, keep doing that. If you've got somebody who can spray it while you're doing it. These
things are like wound.
Yeah, they're wound wire, so it actually kind of saws it, cleans it out, and you spray it at the same time.
Just go along the side like that,
and you'll clean it up.
Yeah, just gets the gunk out. It's
pretty good. So that's clean. You saw how we got that out. June's just going to finish cleaning up the rest of this.
Clean the threads up on it.
Yeah, he'll clean the threads up on that, and we'll clean this little fuel filter bowl, and we'll be ready to put this puppy back together. All right, so everything's clean, and we're ready to put this back together. And we're just kind of giving a quick once-over with this toothbrush just around this gasket, just gently, just to clean off any debris that could be on there. And there's actually a hole right through there on these Hondas and on the other ones. You can see June's using that little teeny wire, or actually it's a carburetor brush that he's getting through there. So let's add a little bit of carb clean to that. Make sure it's clean. We sprayed up inside where that pellet jet goes. And he's actually going up inside where that seat, that float valve goes up in the seat, just real gentle there. Let's hit up in there a little bit. And you can see also, if I spray up into here, it's hard for me, you'll see it come out of that, the fuel filter hole up there. Oh, actually, my bad. Up into where the needle valve goes. So we know that's clean. We're good. So we're just going to let that dry for a quick second. And we've got some rags down here taking the excess. And let's just start off with that pellet jet. You can see how clean June got it, and you can see all the way up through it now. You can see light through there, and that's what we want. So let's put it back in there. Whoops. Get that back up inside there, and June will tighten that up with that little custom screwdriver that I made. I'm actually going to add that. I've never had to make one, but I'm going to keep this one in the parts drawer just for getting those little jets out of there. I think we had one that we broke or misplaced, and this one will take its place. So just snug that up. That's good to go. June's got that. That's that fuel filter bowl, and here's the washer. Remember the way we set it? The way that I set it down is the exact way that it goes onto this, and you can see it's kind of got a little pieces of that gas crud on it. So you might want to wipe that down gently. Just go around it with your fingers. Looks pretty good. Yep, and it went on just like that. That way it'll pinch itself right back the way it was when we took it off.
Probably just put it up in there.
And you can put it up inside there and seat it that way. And you just want to snug that down as well with that 10 mil. You don't need to kill it. Just snug it up. If it leaks, you can snug it a little more later. But if you go too tight, it's going to leak. So now June's got the float bowl, or the float valve
in the needle.
And yeah, and you see how he's got it stuck up inside the float itself. It just kind of hangs up in there.
This one actually sits pretty secure.
Yeah, and you can see how it just sits in that tab, and he just takes it out. And all of these carbs are relatively the same. This one's spring loaded here, but you'll see him. He'll just put it up in that tab gently and hang it in there. It just hangs like an earring, and boom. Most of them don't stay in there like that. They'll fall off. So now we can go ahead and line it back up to that needle. Goes up into that seat, and he can go ahead and put that float pin, the hinge pin, in there, and boom, that's it. He's got it evenly pushed in there on both sides. Hole's clean, the jet's in, it's clean, and we are ready for the float bowl.
Clean the bowl.
Yeah, and we got to clean just the bottom part of this, the bolt. I'll do that, or June can do that. And we're going to go ahead and put this on here, and you want to make sure you position this correctly to get that other 10mm bolt in there. And you want to have this drain valve out, so if you want to drain yours in the wintertime, you can get to this one and just drain the bowl down and kind of fill it up with some WD-40 up in there, and you shouldn't have any problems with it when you add gas to it in the spring. So we're going to go ahead and clean that bolt, snug down that 10mm bolt to the float bowl, put some freshy gas in, and this thing should run. And we're going to actually add some new oil to it and a little bit of Lucas oil additive. This thing should run, and Kevin should be able to pick it up and use it this winter if he has a power outage. You get this float bowl on, and it should go on. Be careful if it doesn't go flat and sit flush, you know it's not on right. I'm going to angle this facing the outside of the unit. You know, it's got that little gasket on it, remember, and don't over tighten it as well, or you'll crush that gasket down and that float bowl will leak. So you can always snug them a little more later, but just go a little bit and just check this gasket here for leaks, check this gasket for leaks, and check this gasket for leaks. So we're good to go. Let's set this thing down, add some oil to it, and we'll be ready. All right, you guys, so we're ready to fire this up. I went ahead and added some oil. And usually on these, this one has a check stick. You just pull it out, be up on the stick. Or usually I go to the bottom of those threads right there, where if yours doesn't have a check stick, it'll just have this plug. Just take it to the bottom of the threads, be fine. Run it, and then we can always top it off later. So that's good to go. We've got this thing on. We went ahead and popped the spark plug out, and you can just see how nasty, dirty it is. So we're gonna go ahead and just spray it with a little cleaner and hit it with this wire brush. Usually we use the drill. I took the drill in to do some work down in the office. We've got another drill. Maybe we should get the electric drill I can run in the house. It's coming off. You just gotta be patient with it. Hit it with a little bit of that cleaner. We're going caveman style on cleaning this one. It should still fire, and we can check for spark by just plugging it into that spark plug boot and touching it to the motor, the tip of the plug to the motor, and pulling it a couple times. See if we get spark jumping off of there. but it's actually coming pretty clean. We got a little piece of emery cloth right there as well. And if June folds that thing in half, we can actually get it up underneath the electrode. You can show them right there. There's a little gap right in there. So if he folds that emery cloth in half, if it fits in that gap. If not, you just got to go one-sided and just flip it over and keep going. And you just have to just get one-sided. Just get up in there a little teeny bit. And make sure you spray it off afterwards to get all that little sand grit off of there. And you can hit the top of the electrode.
And the sides. And
yeah, hit the sides. And I think we're pretty good just to show them the video. I added some gas to it. And we'll spray it one more time just to get that grit off. Pretty good. And normally we put some anti-seize grease on there. We can just fire it up and do it later. We put a little anti-seize grease on these threads. And I always take a picture of the spark plug number. That way if I want to order a couple, we can order it. This one's a Denso plug. It's a good plug. Pretty heavy duty stainless steel. Yep, that's it. A little bit of anti-seize grease. That way when we go to work on it later, or Kevin does, he can swap this plug out really easily. It won't be seized into the motor. And June's going to screw that in. Like I said, if we wanted to check for spark now, you would take the spark plug and just plug it in there.
Oh, you want to check?
Yeah, we can check, see if it's got spark, show him that. So if we take the plug and just put it in that boot, and he touches that to any part of the metal somewhere on the motor, because the motor's grounded, and we pull this, and we've got this turned on, you should see a spark there. Yep. Yeah, you see a nice big spark. And that's how you can check to see if it's spark, if your unit's not running or the carburetor. So that's good to go. June's going to screw that back in, just snug down that plug, and we'll make sure the gas is on. We'll turn this on. If yours doesn't have these nice descriptive arrows, the choke is usually back on these Honda style, and the gas is forward, and we always turn the gas off in storage. So it's actually choked now. We will turn the gas on, and we'll check for any drips under here, as well as the back fuel line that June cut and reclamped. I don't see anything so far, and the gas should be coming in. I filled the gas tank up there with some freshy gas. It's on. We know it's got spark, so let's go ahead and keep it choked. And when he gets that tightened down, let's start it up. All right, you guys, we're not getting any flow through, so we disconnected. Remember that red fuel filter? This housing was housing it like that on top of the unit. We took out the 10mm bolt here and a little screw right there that sits on this perch here, and we just tipped it up. And I disconnected the fuel filter there, and we blew through here with our mouths, and we are getting blowback up through the tank when we loosen this up. While we're in here, we've got 1/4 inch fuel line. We've got rolls of it, so we're going to go ahead and throw that in there for Kevin real quick. Double check this fuel filter. If not, we do have brand new ones of these that we can put in. Just got to make sure it fits the 1/4. And this almost looks like a 5/16 or maybe a 3/16 or something. So we'll see. It's just pretty brittle. But we're going to go ahead and check this out. Change this fuel line out real quick and set this back down. We've got it on a block now and set it down, and we should get runoff through here. If we're not getting runoff through here, then there's a screen inside the gas tank that sometimes can be clogged. You don't want to blow it with high powered air too much, because you might blow it up and out of there and it'll be floating around in the tank. But we are going to swap the fuel line out. We're going to take this off and spray some cleaner through this and make sure we've got good flow. And then double check it too to make sure we've got flow from here into the bottom, into the carburetor feed, where that needle valve and that seat are on that float valve, that float bowl. So let's clean this out with some carb clean. We throw a new couple feet of fuel line on here, and this thing will be ready to start up. Okay, so we got some fresh gas. Went ahead and took the air filter off. June's going to put a little bit of fresh gas down in the carburetor itself, and we're going to see if when we pull it, if the vacuum, that's enough to spark it, and the vacuum will pull it in and keep the motor running. So let's put this back on gently. It will need a new air filter. It's starting to, looks brand new, but the outside's starting to kind of fall apart. Let's just put one of those on it and start it up and see if she'll fire on her own. We've got this on still. This is still loose. We checked the fuel filter. The fuel filter was a little dirty. We did spray it out with that brake clean. And everything's on. It should fire up with gas right into there. All right, we weren't getting any gas to the actual carburetor. We took that winterizing check plug out of that bowl, and we weren't getting any leakage at all. So what we did is shook it. You want to show them how we kind of shook the whole unit? I had taken it over like that, and maybe there was some debris in the gas tank, so we just kind of kept it like that, and eventually it started dripping out the bottom of that carburetor into that Tupperware container. So we went ahead and plugged it back up on that winterizing drain plug on the float bowl. So let's go ahead and choke it. We know we've got gas to the carburetor now, and let's see what. Nice. You got it all the way off choke or partially. Yeah. You can see how quiet that thing is. And that's pretty much it. Everything's good. We barely have any gas in here. The needle's moving a little bit, but I'm not trying to put a bunch of gallons in there. You probably need a good gallon or so before it reaches that petcock down there on the bottom of the gas tank. That's it. There she is. She's running. The generator lives again. Kevin got a killer deal for free with that 8 horsepower Honda, 4,000 watt Dayton. All right, so we cranked up the motor full power, totally off the choke. June's gonna test it out. You wanna hit that? It works? Yeah, so we're good. So at an idle, this unit will not produce any current to even run that grinder. It might maybe charge a cell phone. So he's going through, he's checking all those outlets. The other ones are a twist lock, dedicated 20 amp or possibly 30 amp. One of those 30, 20, 30. Yeah, so we don't have an extension cord for that, but we know it works. Everything's good. So other than that, man, we're done. We're out of here. We got other things to fix, but fix it yourself, save that money. Use that extra money to buy extra parts, buy yourself a beer, tea, coffee, whatever, float your boat, or buy a Kit Kat, and we're out of here. So Kevin will come pick this up tonight, and we'll charge him a little something. He's a friend. Peace, we're out. Check out the other videos.
I'm not a pig, I'm a lawyer.
What's up, Iggy? Talk to him before I shut the video down. Oh yeah. Yep. You're not a pig, you're a lawyer. He's not a pig, he's a lawyer. Peace.